Attracting and retaining talent should be top of mind for every employer in our region. Tens of thousands of workers are retiring, and our population really isn't growing. But what's it take to create an attractive workplace? Well, the Pittsburgh Human Resources Association set out to answer that question in partnership with a local startup called Imagine Careers. Elizabeth Lamping is executive director of the association, and Eric Harvey is founder and CEO of Imagine Careers. And welcome. Good to have you both here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I think we can probably guess what a Human Resources Association does, but Eric, what is Imagine Careers all about? What is it you guys do?
Yeah, so we match people to companies. That's really essentially what we are at the core. I think as the talent war is raging, companies are trying to find the right people to work for them, and people are trying to find, where do I really fit? What should I be learning? Who's hiring the skills I have? And what workplace is really going to fit me? So we've been building technology that helps to match people and companies together in really creative ways, and then obviously that kind of matched up very well with what the Pittsburgh Human Resources Association is looking to do to help talent in the region as well.
It's becoming more and more of an issue for the employers you all represent and work with?
Always attracting and retaining the right type of talent is an issue, and what we had found from the report just kind of highlights that 45% or so of the respondents are going to be looking for employment within the next year. So, yeah.
45% of the respondents, and this was, I assume, a representative survey of some sort. It was almost half of the folks out there working right now are basically looking.
Right.
Yeah,
wow.
and over 90% of the people who responded already had jobs. So it's not just because we surveyed people who didn't have jobs.
Okay, so these are employed people, and they're the ones looking for the next opportunity. I think you see it. We've seen it in some of the census numbers and the population numbers recently. The region lost about 9,000 people last year, and they seem to be moving to other parts of the country. My guess is a lot of employers think they're just being outbid. Other companies in other parts of the country are paying more. Is it as simple as that? When you did your survey, is that what you found? Oh, if I just pay me more money, that's all it's going to take.
No, I don't think compensation actually is the driver in some of these issues. From what we saw is that 91% are interested in the culture of an organization, and I think employers have lost touch with what their culture encompasses and what it actually is.
Well, what does culture mean, at least in terms of the way the employees are thinking about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of people think of culture, as, lately it's Google put some foosball tables and that's called culture, but really it's more about the organization as a whole, like the people that they employ, the way they treat them like adults and give them some autonomy potentially. Do they have their core values and their vision and mission statements very clearly aligned, and do they actually stand by those? Do they hold the team accountable? And I think that having that kind of sense of identity is really important for the culture of an organization to be strong. And what we noticed a lot lately is it seems like companies are so focused on attracting talent that they're not really focused on retaining the people that are already there. And if they don't have a strong culture, it doesn't matter what you do to attract people; they're going to leave anyways if they're not happy, right?
Well, and we've heard that a lot in Pittsburgh. We've got a lot of great buzz these days, so attracting people isn't as big an issue as it used to be, but we hear they do have a hard time keeping them.
Right. We need to learn to develop our internal talent and find ways to bring out their skills so that they can reach their full potential within your organization.
So a lot of it is really investing in the people you have, in whatever that means for your organization.
Right. And it's innovative people practices. All organizations are different. You can't quantify or measure it, but as an organization you need to understand what it takes to develop your talent.
And is this just a millennial survey? Is this just 20-somethings that care about this stuff, or does it sort of cut across the workforce?
No, we actually had a pretty diverse population. Our ages were anywhere from 18 to, I think we had people in their 70s who took the survey. So it was a very comprehensive survey of lots of different generations. And to Liz's point, if we don't get better at understanding why people would want to stay with us, why did they join us to begin with, I think we're going to lose the war on how do we actually bring them in to work with us in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean to work in this space all the time, so I'm sure a lot of this didn't surprise you. It's probably things you've heard anecdotally all the way along. So what did surprise you? Was there anything in the research that you thought, whoa, this is a bigger issue than I thought, or I just never thought about this before?
I think in my mind what stuck out to me was that the organizations just don't understand that compensation is much more than just pay. There's a lot that goes into compensation, and I think in Pittsburgh people are still stuck on the final salary number, but what's all behind that?
Yeah, I also, something that really jumped out to me was, of course, benefits and some of the other tangible things you receive from your employer are important, but work-life balance, flexible work schedules, the ability to work from home sometimes if that's something that the organization can provide. And also, like, really the millennial generation is really pushing the idea of fiscal and regional responsibility. Like, are we actually doing things that line up with supporting our region, making an impact on the world, and they want to see organizations that are socially responsible, and that's something that really jumped out from the respondents too. I think that we've all, every generation feels that way, but I think the millennial generation is bold enough to just go for it and say, this is really important to me, and if you're not going to give me the ability to volunteer my time at places that I care about, or if you're not going to be socially responsible for whether it's recycling or whatever it might be, humanitarian efforts, and I think that's great. Like, I think it's not necessarily new, but I think that generation really embraces that and runs with it and pushes us to be better with it.
So I know one of the things I noticed was a lot of emphasis on time off, flexibility in the workplace. We already touched on it a little bit, but this seems to be pretty important these days.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think people want to make sure they're able to blend their work-life balance and spend time with their families and kids, and giving them that kind of autonomy and flexibility to maybe work core hours but come in early to avoid traffic or whatever it might be, I think is really critical.
I even saw some companies are not having any limit on vacation days.
Yeah, it's funny though, our company has unlimited vacation time, but most people don't take advantage of it because we're so busy as a startup that they could, but they don't abuse it. And also, just for everyone, if anyone's interested in participating, we're going to do this again in 2018.
Oh, excellent.
At pulse.imaginecareers.com, you can actually put your email in if you'd like to be a part of some of the data we're gathering, and we're still working on the survey itself, but we're going to do this again and kind of continue to grow on this for future years.
And if they want to get a look at this one, at the 2017 report, where do they find it?
Same thing. Pulse.imaginecareers.com.
Pulse.imaginecareers.com. Well, congratulations. Great information here, and it's something every employer in our region should take a look at. Really appreciate it. Elizabeth Lamping, Eric Harvey.
Thank you for having us.
Next up, who better to convince students to consider careers in manufacturing than the students themselves? We'll see how they're selling the opportunity when our region's business returns. Stay with us.